Posture isn't just about standing tall or sitting straight. It's a hidden driver of your energy, confidence, and brain function. In this conversation, Dr. Brett Hill unpacks surprising science behind posture and reveals why sitting up straight just doesn't work and shares simple ways to connect your body's signals to perform better in business and in life. Welcome to the Lead Machine Growth Show. I'm Paul Guyan, your Lead Machine coach, founder of the Lead Machine Mastermind Group and marketing group. I'm dedicated to helping you tackle your tech, master your message, and design your dream life. So, whether you're just starting out or you want to take your business and life to the next level, let's get this conversation started and turn your dreams into reality. So, my friend Dr. Brett Hill is here today. He's a chiropractor, entrepreneur, and speaker, and he's committed to transforming how people understand posture, movement, and brain health. Starting from a 200 square foot clinic with no patients and 4 children at home, he built a thriving practice, Experience Life Chiropractic, that's experience, and later launched yourpostureprogram.com, an online solution for posture correction and brain optimization. And what I really like about Brett is his ability to bridge science and everyday life because we're in the grind there. We're entrepreneurs. If you're a speaker or if you're working at a desk job, like I do a lot of the time, I'm an author. There's a lot of practical stuff that you need to be aware of than just, oh, sit up straight. So we're going to unpack that. And he doesn't treat health just as a single thing. It's also part of, like I said, your daily life. So, Dr. Hill, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming today. I'm glad that we finally got you on the show.
Thanks, Paul, for having me. I appreciate it. I'm excited to share some of this stuff with you and your audience because it's something we see all the time. People are dealing with all the time, and yet they don't get to the root of the problem. It's more of a symptom-based approach, and they keep having these problems come up or something new. And like you said, you're sitting most of the time. You're like most people, whether they're weekend warriors or even the athletes, we lose the awareness of where our body should be, and we become adapted to those changes, and it really affects us in a negative way.
Let's start out with that spark that got you interested in the first place. Why is posture something you've chosen to focus on and really dedicate your practice? And obviously, you've got an online program now to teach people. Why is it so important to you?
Yeah, thanks. That's a great question. That's why we created the program. The yourpostureprogram.com was to reach more people because we found that we were finding a lot of the same things. And going back even before that, when I went to chiropractic school, I came out thinking I want to do things differently because I feel like I can help people in a more impactful way. I'd done all the extra seminars I could do. I did some neuro chiropractic training, and I thought this is way more impactful versus growing up, my mom had a lot of health issues. And I saw how in the medical system, where I originally thought I was going to go to med school, it was just, here's a pill for that chronic thing. Now, okay, go see the specialist for this. Okay, we'll give you a pill for your heart problem and then your migraine problem and all these different things. And they were helpful, but I was like, okay, how can we address the whole body a little bit more impactful?
Hmm.
And what I found was that in practice, as I was treating patients, because I didn't want them to be coming in and then be reliant on the adjustment, just like a pill or something else, where it's like adjust you every week forever. How do we get them empowered to be better? And so when we got to the root of the neurology of what was going on, a lot of it was the same things. They're sitting at a computer. They've got tension in their shoulders, their neck. They've got stress. They're not breathing deep. They're adapting to these things over a period of time. And so in order to correct it, isn't just going to the gym and strengthening these bigger muscles, because the body will, as soon as you sit, it's adapted to a new normal, I guess you could say. So when you're working out and strengthening these muscles, it's using these adapted muscles. So
Mm.
right now, when you're sitting there, you're probably not thinking of what posture muscles am I using? Or when you're carrying groceries or when you're driving in your car, we don't ever think about what are those postural muscles. We just use them day in, day out. But they are the
Yeah.
foundation of our spine, of our core, of the way we move. Because without postural tone or this core support in our spine, you won't be able to generate power in your arms and your legs or maintain good balance. And that's where we found if we can get people to understand how their brain can, what's called neuroplasticity, can neurologically adapt to control things just subtly a little different each day, it starts to rebuild this system to have better control, support, and get to the root of the problem. And really, their posture improves because we're addressing more of how it's been adapting for such a long time. And those micro strains on the body really add up. So we wanted to help people get better faster and maintain it and empower them on their own. And those that went through this program, we found them they got better. They were like, not only just better in their tension in their neck, but they're like, you know what? I'm way more aware of how I'm moving every day. I feel more energy, all of these different things. And so that's why we developed yourpostureprogram.com, because we're like, we can professionally assess people virtually and take them through this to get huge benefits in things that they're suffering with chronically.
Gotcha. So why you brought up the nervous system in the brain and neuroplasticity. I'm really interested in that mind-body connection. How is that connected? How are they connected? You talked
Yeah.
about the
And
muscles, and oh, by the way, I was thinking about how my muscles were working because you're looking at me and I'm going, oh, am I sitting up?
good, good.
Yeah,
We love to have that effect because it's the micro things day in, day out. Because in 30 seconds, we fatigue and we start to slouch again.
yeah, we do.
And so part of it is just having that awareness. And that's deals kind of with that neuroplast changes. I guess you should define what is neuroplasticity.
Yeah.
Basically, what we're looking at is our brain and nervous system control everything that we do. It gets information from our environment or our movements, and then it's processed into an output of how we move, how we think, how we react to different stimuli. So when
Mhm.
the brain and the nerves need three things to survive. They need food, so glucose, oxygen, and activation. So when we activate something in a different or a new way, it takes repetitive activation to build that neural connection, to make it stronger, to make it fire almost automatic. After you practice a sport,
Mhm.
whether it be shooting a basketball, throwing a football, when you've just done it repetitively 1,000 times, your brain doesn't have to focus on the mechanics so much. It just does it. That neuroplastic
Yeah.
change comes the more stronger those connections get. The same thing happens the more we sit. If you're sitting right now, your hamstrings are a little bit shortened position. Your hip flexors might be in a bit more shortened position. And your body adapts to this feedback loop of, okay, this is going to be our new normal if that's what we're in the majority of the time. And then we stand up straight and we feel like, man, oh, my hamstrings are always tight or my hips are always tight. That's because your body thinks now that you're standing that it's actually lengthened out when that should be your normal length.
Mhm.
So those neuroplastic changes can happen for good or for bad. So what we do in our program is we first get people aware of where they need to change. And that's where that professional assessment comes in, where they just take a picture from the front, they take a picture from their side view, and then they send it to us securely through this app called Posture Screen Mobile. And we analyze that. And then we have a video call with them to go over where they're at, what it looks like, what that might relate to. And then oftentimes we get clients or patients in clinic where they're like, I knew my posture wasn't great, but I didn't realize it was that bad. I didn't realize I was
Mhm.
tilting my head or I was doing this. And so then they come back a week later and they're like, yeah, I've been much more aware of this. I didn't realize how much I always sat that way. So a lot of times it's just that awareness we don't even know. And so that's where we start. And then we can, in this program, we start by simply building in that neuromuscular control and awareness of how we're moving. So while you might think, okay, I need to sit up straight. So if your listeners can, they may not be able to see me, some may, but if they're listening, one of the things that happens when we sit at a computer a lot is we start to adapt with our head being forward. And rather
Yeah.
than look at the ground, we tighten these muscles right at the base of our skull to now keep our head straight. And I won't get into, there's a lot of neurology with our ear canals and our balance system that we really focus on our vision to keep things lined up. But that goes at the expense of the way now we collapse in our lower back. And these are neuroplastic changes that we make due to sitting. So to reverse that, most people, when they think, oh, I got to sit up straight, they just compensate by leaning their whole spine back, or they've heard of these exercises where, oh, I just need to tuck my chin back. Posture isn't just straight forward or straight back. It's not how it works. And so that's where we work through these neurological exercises in a more specific way of feeling lengthening of the head and then bringing the head over the shoulders without bringing the shoulders up. Most people lean back with their shoulders or pull their shoulders up to be taller or just squeeze them. And that engages these stress muscles or these trap muscles, which they should actually be relaxed. So learning how to control the muscles properly over a period of time, because it's not as simple as just, oh, do this exercise and now you've got it. You have to repetitively be aware of that and re-strengthen that.
Wow. So I sit at my desk. Over the summer, I wrote 5 books in 30 days.
Holy cow.
And I was burning the candle at both ends. And I tell you, I still have stress in my neck. And I don't know if you can see how I'm sitting.
Yep.
Yep. And so I'm forward like this. And yeah.
That assessment, let's do it on you, because that'll help you be aware of how far it measures, how far that actually is and what it's affecting.
Yeah.
Because so where you turn to the side and we see your ear forward, you actually want to get that over the middle of your shoulder, which
is that better?
It's better, but it actually has a long way to go to make it where it should be. And that's okay. That's how your body's adapted to become your new normal. So it'll actually, for you, if we were to actually put you in the correct position, you'd be like, that's impossible. That feels so uncomfortable, because your new normal has shifted forward quite a bit. But that affects a few other things. Like it can affect our airways, breathing, our chest expansion. When our head's forward, it's subtle, but we have a difficulty taking as deep of a breath. Or even I've seen people where they've had problems swallowing, issues with that because of how far their head shifted forward and tightened and different muscles and things.
Wow. That's amazing. And sometimes I have swallowing problems, and I'm 67 years old. So, I'm paying for sins of the past. I think we all
look
are.
good for 67. You're doing good.
Thank you. So what can we do today to help improve where we're at, getting up and moving? What are some of the tips that we can do that for those of us who sit for long hours or are in that kind of position? Because I think many of our listeners are in that space.
Yeah, you know what? The majority of the population, and even if we're not sitting all day at a computer working, we're looking at our phones, kids and adults are walking around, looking down at devices constantly. It's affecting everybody. So this is something, and what do we do? What can we do about it? Because we still have to work at the computer. We still have to answer the phone's messages and things like that. And this is something I think at the end we'll mention as well, but we'd love to give them some exercises that people can take home, review. There'll be 3 videos, and they're the 3 first things that we teach. And so one of the things I would say people can start doing right now is paying attention to their head position. And so the good thing, I'll describe it a bit, but if they go and get these videos, it'll be helpful because they'll understand what I'm trying to explain right now. They'll be able to see and follow that along. But one of the biggest things is the body follows the head. So when the head's forward, everything else, our balance will be off. We'll stand wider with a wider stance because we're trying to just naturally improve our balance control, be more efficient there, because it'll be thrown off. We'll have weakness in our lower back, everything else, rounding of the shoulders. It's all based off our head position. So the first thing I would say is work on strengthening that a little bit. So in your time when you're sitting at the desk, even driving in your car, even walking down the street, if you focus on a string, pulling your head tall, and then slightly bringing your ears over your shoulder more, so you do tuck your chin a little bit back as you lift your head. Most people either think of just lifting their head up and then their chin goes up and now they start looking down through their nose. because they have to compensate, or they try to just tuck their chin straight back and now they're choking themselves a little bit, giving them too much of a double chin. So you want to
Yeah.
think of being tall with the head and then coming back so that your ear, eye stay level through, and the nose is pointed straight ahead, not tilted up. As you
Mm.
do that, you'll actually feel some stretching through the muscles at the base of the skull. And we want to lengthen that out. We want to pull the ears back and then feel your shoulders relax, because most people will over engage the shoulders. And
Yeah.
again, following those exercises will be helpful because we describe and we have some videos, because it's not as easy to just correct. If you were to go and strengthen your bicep, all you have to do is grab a weight and start bringing it up, bending your elbow. Posture's a lot different. That's one thing I would say is doing that exercise, whether in a seated position or laying face down. And that's how we show the exercises, laying face down, because we have gravity resisting it. You'll feel it a little bit more strength in those muscles. So
Hmm.
that's one thing. The second thing is moving. Like you said, movement's key. I would say if you sit at a desk working, get up every 30 to 45 minutes and balance for 30 seconds on each leg. So that's 1 minute. And you can still, like if you're reviewing an email, you can still read that email or do something. If you have, especially if you have a stand-up desk, it's really helpful. That's what I'm using right now. And every now and then, if I feel myself fatiguing, I'll just balance and I'll think of that head pulling tall, bring my ears back, engaging what we call the pelvic floor, which is your TA muscle and some lower core muscles. And that's also an exercise we give in these videos, because it's the head, the core, and then balance are the three things we want people to start with. Balance is something where we want to try to line up the ankle, the knee, the hip, shoulder, and ear. So if you had a rod or a 2x4 going straight up from the middle of your ankle, you want to get your knee, hip, shoulder, ear all in line with that 2x4. And so when you're
Hmm.
balancing, that should shift your weight over the heel more, and it just gets your body to reset a little bit there. So I would really encourage people to balance every 30 to 45 minutes, or at least every hour minimum, to wake up the body. And then
Yeah.
those that are driving this, I love this tip because it's something simple everyone can do. Is if you, when you get in your car, sit back into the back of the seat, put your head in, against the headrest, sit nice and tall but comfortable, relax your shoulders, don't overstrain things, and then set your mirrors. Put your mirror on the sides
Yeah.
and the middle mirror, so that every time you start to slouch or you lose that control and then you look in those mirrors, it's a reminder of, oh man, I got to correct that
Yeah.
again and again. And the more we have that awareness, the more we're going to start changing some things.
Yeah, I love that tip. We're talking to Dr. Brett Hill. We're talking about posture and how it can really kill your productivity and probably shorten your life. So stay tuned and you'll be able to get these videos we're talking about for free. And you'll learn some great exercises to help you with get in line with what he's teaching. So how do these small daily posture habits compound into a long-term confidence and energy?
And that's the goal here, is to get long-term results as we do these daily things. And that's the key, is doing one little exercise and then going and sitting for 8, 9 hours. It's not going to do anything. Studies show even those that say they did an intense workout in the morning, if they sit 8 to 9 hours consecutively day after day, those effects are offset. The negative effects of sitting are still going to impact them. And like you, studies have also shown those that are sitting consistently at a computer have decreased life expectancy, increased health
Mm,
problems as much or more than those that were smokers. So we know the negative effects of smoking, but we don't
wow.
see sitting as detrimental. And yet it's been found to be just as much, if not more, in long-term effects of our health. And,
Mm,
and which is pretty impactful. So one of the things, when we don't move, um, our brain just shuts off the need to use those muscles. So again, that neuroplastic change, when the chair is holding us up against gravity, then we can relax and we forget, how should I be using those muscles? And so it's the repetitiveness of doing these exercises. And this is what we do in this program. It's not like you need to do an hour a day and work out hard. It's more about, we tell people, if you can, take a break from your sitting and do one of these exercises for 2 minutes and then go back to work and then do another one later in the day, that will be more impactful because we're activating that brain and nervous system multiple times in the day to make a change. And the more we stimulate it, more we activate it, more we're building those neural connections. When we don't move, when we are sitting there and our posture is getting worse and we're focused on certain areas like a screen or a device for youth looking down at an iPad or a phone, what happens is it shuts down these areas of the brain. I won't go too in depth into that because our frontal lobe is really important for good cognition and decision making and things. And so when we're not moving, we're not utilizing our brain as healthy as we could. And we become so dominant in our visual system in the occipital lobe in the back of our brain. And we get this fatigue that will happen because even though we're not moving, sitting there all day can be quite fatiguing. We're not getting blood flow, we're not getting the good oxygenation to our brain. And so over time, it affects our energy levels. It affects our anxiety and stress levels because when we aren't using that frontal lobe and we're not in good postural tone, we're not getting good oxygenation, we shut down this area of our brain that helps us see the big picture, helps recognize, you know what, this isn't a real threat right now, or you know what, this isn't going to impact me that much. Why am I getting so worked up? And we start to become more stressed or focused on all these things going on, and we can't filter through what's really happening. And we see increased anxiety, depression, and stress in a lot of our youth today with social media and other things, and even adults as well. The more we're glued to our screens and our phones really affects not just that mental and emotional state, but our physical state. And so most people think, oh, I need to address how I'm thinking or perceiving that stress. When we're stressed or depressed, we think I tighten my shoulders or I feel more tired and fatigued. And so my posture takes a
Hmm.
toll. What if we changed it by changing our posture and then saw how that neurologically impacted our perception or our brain or our mental state on things? People that are going out to give a speech, they say use your superhero pose because you'll feel more confident, you'll feel more ability to present better. What if we did that all the time? What if we changed that way we present ourselves all the time would change our perception of who we are, our stress, and we would feel better, have more energy as well.
How does, while we're talking about this, and things are, I believe that the mind and the body are, they're connected in all ways. So if you have, like we were talking earlier before we start taping, if you've got this shoulder problem, it affects the back. And there's things that go from your neck to your shoulder to your back and to your lower back. And obviously that also affects your mood and your way of thinking and your posture. How important is posture to getting a good night's sleep?
Mm. Very. Sleep is so important for healing and repairing all of those things.
Mm.
So when we have poor posture, a lot of times it relates to increased tension in these stress areas of our body, increased, yeah, inflammation and decreased oxygenation, decreased chest expansion. Those are all important things when we sleep that our brain has a chance to, that's when it does all its healing and all of its repair work and getting into a deep REM cycle. When we have cramping at night and tightness in our muscles and we can't get comfortable, our body's going to have a much harder time repairing and rebuilding those reserves for energy stores and other things like that. We might wake up feeling super straight. I slept 8 hours, but why do I feel so hardly slept at all, or feel so tense and nervous already, like anxious and
Mhm.
stiff in the morning? A lot of times, our bodies are so imbalanced because our posture is poor that it doesn't get into that REM relaxation state. And again, it goes into that mind body connection you're talking about. It's a huge correlation to be able to turn that brain off, allow it to filter through everything that happened in our day, heal that up in those deep sleep cycles, and then wake feeling refreshed. That's really important to how during the day we are perceiving the world around us. And that has a lot to do with how we carry and hold ourselves. Like I said, if we get scared, we're gonna tighten up, we're gonna get all defensive, and that changes our postural tone. Chronically, we're dealing with stress all the time, and we don't pay
Mhm.
attention to that tone of our body. And so that affects that a lot.
So we talked a little bit about confidence and how can improving your posture impact those of us who are speaking on stages or on webinars and like we are today. How can that help us?
Yeah, and this again, that mind body connection. When we look in the mirror, and if we were to see ourselves the way we
Mhm.
sit all the time, or when we're not paying attention to it, we might be surprised and be like, "Whoa, I got to fix that." But when we look like, "Oh yeah, let's sit up straight. I'm going to be strong here," it changes our perception of who we are. I'm confident. I can do this speech or I can do this talk, and you sound more confident, you sound happier, you sound more energetic. People can hear that, they can feel that, they can just feel that energy when you're presenting or speaking. Now, if you went out and you just sat in the chair, slouched forward, and you tried to have the same kind of energy, the same kind of happiness or excitement, I guarantee it would not come across the same way just by physically changing how your body is positioned, and that postural tone will
Mm.
affect that. And there's it goes back into that frontal lobe activation, that perception of dampening, or the way we dampen the stress response areas of our brain, the limbic system, and how that all works. But that's something that happens day in, day out, that becomes who we are. And that's why, like I said, in that posture program, we work simply in with little bits to slowly transform the body, versus there's no one exercise to fix all of this. That's all of a sudden you're going to just have this good posture, feel super confident all the time. Now, going
Yeah.
out on stage and doing this, you can do that and maybe temporarily feel better or get that perception of being more confident. But that should be who we are, not just who we people perceive us as.
Yeah, and the way people perceive us too is important in the sales process when we're meeting with clients or prospects, holding that confidence level or building that confidence level, becoming that person that people naturally want to be around is obviously very important. Do you have to have any results or stories you can tell us about people that have been through your programs that have had some real positive success either in business or in life?
Yeah. It's something when people are going through the program, a lot of times they don't realize the changes that they're making. And this is why we do that assessment at the beginning. We do it midway and we do it at the end, because then they see, oh wow, I didn't realize I changed that much, because these are small changes we're making in, day out. And it changes who that person is. We've had a child, some youth that have gone through this program as young as age 11, and those up to age, I believe, almost 70. Yeah, up into their 70s. And the changes have been amazing. We had a dad who said, I think my son's a couple inches taller now that he's done this. He actually wanted to do it again with his son just because he saw such a benefit the first time
Mm.
going through. Another client who we took through, he traveled a lot for work. Every few months, he'd have to, it was quite a long drive if he would go to the off-site place, and about a 12-hour drive. And he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, every time I make this, my back's just killing me when I'm done." And he said last time he came back, I paid attention to all those little things that you mentioned. I reset, using those muscles as I was driving. I got home. I got out of the car. I don't have any pain at all. I feel amazing. I told my wife, I gotta thank Dr. Hill, because I've never felt like this before after a drive. He went on a hour bike ride. He's trained for triathlon, and he felt great just by really focusing on these small
Mhm.
muscles, have maintained me where I would be out the rest of that day and really affected. These are just some of the aspects that there's others too, but I want to take all the time. But it really
Yeah.
empowers the patient to take control of their health, of how they feel, and then maintain that throughout their life.
Yeah, and those listeners out there who are like me, maybe burning the candle at both ends or transitioning into their second act or whatever, entrepreneurs need lots of energy. There's lots of negativity around us, for one, because not everybody believes in the same thing that you believe in. So having that confidence and having some structure to the way that you approach your business makes a big impact. Speaking of the impact, you went from this tiny clinic with the big family responsibilities, building a thriving practice and online programs. What identity shifts or mindset changes or habits how did you make that possible?
I believed in myself. I really felt I knew my goal wasn't like, I didn't see people as a number. I came out of school thinking I can help people get better and stay better, which for me ultimately was how can I provide the best care possible? And I'm like, I'm going to do this differently. I had an option to take over a practice, but it was a different system of high volume, come in, get a quick adjustment, get out, and then just numbers, like
Yeah.
a lot of patients. And I was like, integrity wise, I couldn't do that because I know there's more I can do for people to help them in a deeper way. And so I think it was just not, it was being rooted in what is my ultimate goal here? It wasn't about the numbers or about, I've got to get this much money, so I better see this many people. It was believing in
Mm.
myself that, and not letting go of that, even when hard times came and I was like, man, should I still be doing this? But I knew, and I told myself, if I come to if I come to my office every day and I don't enjoy what I'm doing, or I'm depressed about or fighting myself to come every day, then I shouldn't be doing it anymore. And
Yeah.
that's why I went into practice, was to really help people. That's why I developed this program. It gets at a deeper level to really help people. And so the one thing I would say is remember the why of doing things. Don't get, and then recognize, for me, the most important thing is time. Time with my kids. Time, it goes so fast. Being intentional with the time that we do have, it makes an impact. When I'm home, I put my phone down and I try to listen or try to be present with my kids or my family. Or when I'm doing something, I'm going to be there. And that time that we have, how we use it, is something very important because we'll never get it back.
Yeah.
Um, there's always going to be more stuff to do.
There always is. And so, was there something in your childhood or your early adulthood? What was it that said, I want to help people this way? Was there a mentor or some experience that you had that triggered all this?
Well, I've always been driven to try to be the best. I played every sport I could growing up.
Mm.
Yeah, if there was, I played basketball, football, volleyball, badminton, track. Like it didn't matter. I was like, let me try it. And I wanted to be the best at it. I think the biggest thing I mentioned a little bit earlier, but growing up, my mom had health issues. She had some autoimmune problems and then had a lot of migraine problems and then heart um, issues. And it was just, I saw these things that were not getting at the root of the problem. And it
Yeah.
affected her ability to enjoy time with us and to be able to do things when a migraine would come on and knock her out for a whole day. And so that drew me to really want to help people on a deeper level. That's why we call the clinic Experience Life. It's not just about, okay, we'll help with that migraine pain. Let's get you out so you can experience those moments with your family and not have to worry about that migraine affecting going out and being social with
Mhm.
friends or doing whatever. So that was really impactful to really help people on a deeper level.
I love that. I can relate to that. My mother her first part-time job was working with a doctor in a doctor's office, and she learned how to do all kinds of things that this is in the 40s. She could draw blood, she could help people, and had a lifelong problem with migraines, and she developed a technique to help with migraines. It's the same kind of spark, the same
Mhm.
kind of thing that I think a lot of us who are entrepreneurs have to get us started down this trail. As we wrap up, what are three things that our listeners can do today? I know we talked about those things. So let's talk about your program and how people can get access to that and also get in touch with you.
Yeah. The program is yourpostureprogram.com. And like I mentioned in those exercises, just talking about it is one thing, but I encourage them to go get these videos because watching and listening and seeing how we direct in that can be a lot more impactful. And that's the kind of the first step. So those are the first week. It's a 10-week program. And the first thing we do is an assessment, and we go over that to say, okay, do you need this or not? And where are you at? And how might these things be affecting your health or other things? But then from there, those that we recommend the program to, we take them through correcting their head position. So that first exercise we described is one of 4 adaptations. So as we go through to the end, we're on posture number 4, we call it, where we're lifting the head and incorporating the shoulders and the core. And so by getting awareness with those first 3 exercises we talked about is a good starting point. Just starting to feel and be aware in your daily life of, okay, I can feel how that should be, or how I can use those muscles without working too hard. If people are lifting their shoulders, they're working too hard and they're going to fatigue really quick. What we have to do is train the body to be able to hold this all day. And so it's unconscious muscles. And so starting there, working on the balance, working on the core with what's called the pelvic tilt that we give in those videos, and then the head position one. Those are the start. What we do in week 2 and 3 and 4, we start to then get shoulder control. Then we start to get more coordination. So working on balance with some movements while maintaining that proper alignment. And then we really build into the power as we get further along, doing some squat type of exercises and more difficult ones that help with the control and power that they're going to have in that posture system. And so it really builds the strength there as we go through it. So each week we're adapting with a new exercise, checking their form, because nobody gets the exercise correct the first time. And that's just because they're adapted to ones that they're used to using. And so with the video calls that we meet with people every week on, we have them show us, okay, show us what you're doing. All right, you need to just move this way or feel it here. We help them to feel that, which is the secret sauce, because if they don't, they're going to keep compensating. And as they start to feel that and correct, then it becomes automatic. And then they continue on their own and can keep that strength.
Gotcha. So go to yourpostureprogram.com/video, and you can claim those first 3 videos. And then if you want to get into the program, you can go from there. Is that right?
Yeah. If they have any other questions, they can email us from that or connect with us on that.
Awesome. Dr. Brett Hill, thank you so much for being on the show today. As we wrap up, remember, faith and action go hand in hand, so keep the pedal to the metal. Until next time on the Lead Machine Growth Show, I'm Paul Guyon, and Dr. Brett Hill, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thanks so much, Paul, for having me. I appreciate it very much.
Yeah, and don't just sit up straight. Listen to this advice. Go get those videos, yourpostureprogram.com/video, and check it out. And it can really help you be more confident and maybe get some better sleep and show up the way that you really need to. So bye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the Lead Machine Growth Show with Paul Guyon, where we show you how to tackle your tech, master your message, and design your dream so that you can transform your vision into reality. Remember to visit our website at www.leadmachinegrowthshow.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Lead Machine Growth Show.